Hello and welcome. My name is Marta, and today we are going to be doing some thrift flips. Now, this really cool tray a good friend of mine got while she was thrifting. She thought of me and got it, which is so cool because I get to use it now. I'm going to be using these metallic waxes I got from Hobby Lobby in dark turquoise and green. Some metal leaf gilding leaves in champagne and silver, and this really beautiful decoupage paper from Monaghan Papers I got from Milton's daughter. Everything I'm going to be using a lot of products, so everything I will pin it down below in the description. So I am using the water method here I don't want the edges to be crisp, I want them to be kind of broken up. So I am just getting a paintbrush there and loading it with some water and letting the water set a little bit in the paper, and I'm just tearing it so that the edges are nice and broken there. They're not like torn, they're not like a perfect crisp. Anyway, so I'm going to be adding this to the tray here with some Mod Podge. I have a lot of matte Mod Podge on hand. It doesn't matter, whatever you want to use is fine. You can use gloss. It's not a big deal. I just have a lot of matte on hand, so I'm using matte Mod Podge to stick this guy on there. Now this Mod Podge decoupage paper is very thick, so I am just using my hands to make sure it gets in there nice. And there are a few bubbles, but not many. Actually, they're very small, so I'm fine with the wrinkles. Now I'm just adding a good thick layer on top with Mod Podge, and then I'm going to use my handy dandy heat tool and I'll heat it up so magically it looks all nice and even. Get some big thick paintbrushes, and I am using this DIY wax in Shipwreck, some DIY chalked paints in let's see, that is Walk on Water, Eden, Monet's Garden, and Blue Iris. I ended up just using the Eden, the green one, and there's some black velvet there. I don't use the black velvet or the Monet's Garden. I use Eden, Walk on Water, and Blue Iris are the ones I mainly use, the only ones I use. And I am just trying to blend in the image here with the tray. I'm just dabbing it with like a nice fluffy round brush that I have there. And you can be messy, you can get into the image, it's no big deal. I don't need it to be all perfect. I kind of want it to look very vintage and grungy. After applying the blue, I am just doing the same thing with the Eden green paint and just kind of getting it around there in different areas. And there's a lot of layering to this that I'm doing today. It's a trust the process kind of thing. And then there are a few mistakes I do make that I will show you, I'll tell you about later, that I could have probably skipped a few steps, but I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted it. I just, I kind of go with the flow here. And anyway, so doing the same thing here with the Blue Iris color, which I love. It's so pretty. And I think I used a smaller brush for this one. And this one I just did little accents. I mean, I used a lot of it, but not as much as the green and the teal. The teal's really like the main color that I'm using here. Well, I guess I lied. I do use the Monet's Garden green color. I don't remember using it that much, but I guess I did use some of it. I dabbed it here and there. I forgot. I pre-record these, so when I'm doing voiceover, I don't necessarily remember every single step I am doing. I just I always remember it a little bit differently. All right, so here's that heat tool I'm using. I could not recommend a heat tool enough. They're very inexpensive. Or you could use a hair dryer too. All right, I'm gonna seal up this chalk paint in with some Rust-Oleum Chalked top coat in matte finish. And I always suggest using a soft brush with this because you can flake off or scratch off the chalk paint. It's very easily you can wipe it off even with your finger if you apply enough pressure. So a soft brush is the way to go. That way there's minimal scratches. There's still some scratches, but not as much as if you use like a stiffer brush. All right, so this is how it looks like once it's all dried up. There are some scratches, like I said, but oh well. All right, and now I am using the metal leaf gilding leaves in Silver First. At first, I have seen some other crafters use Mod Podge to stick it on. It's very flaky and very delicate. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I use the Mod Podge instead of the glue that was recommended to use with these gilding sheets. And at least this matte Mod Podge, it dries off. It dries very quickly. So it didn't work. It wasn't as tacky as I needed it to be in the long run. So I went ahead and used the glue that comes with it that you can get in Hobby Lobby. It's like a couple bucks. I use that glue to use it. It's like more tacky and sticky and it doesn't dry as fast. So it worked perfectly for it. And I am just sticking these all up onto the rims there so it looks like a frame, which I really love the way it looked. And I did put some smudges smidgets here and there on the actual tray where the image is. But anyway, I really liked the way it came out with the silver leaf here. And I do use the champagne soon enough anyway. But in the end, I ended up putting so many layers on this thing that I probably could have just foregone doing this gilding. I could have just used silver rub and buff in the end and it would have looked just as good, honestly. But I don't know. I just, in my head, I wanted it to be really shiny and like silver and wow, like blingy. So that's what I did. So once you stick it on and you get every nook and cranny that you put the glue on, you can brush it off with a stiff brush and it creates tons of flakes. I had these flakes everywhere. They're all over me for days. They're still on my table here and my poor dogs were sporting some glitter, some gilding dust for a while. So here I'm doing the same thing, but with the champagne colored, and I am just filling in some of those areas that the silver didn't get into. I'm putting the champagne in there. You can't really tell. Like I said, I could have skipped this step altogether now that I know like all the steps I took. But at the time I did want it more shiny but Once I looked at it all shiny, I wanted to tone it back. So like I said, you could use rubber buff. You don't have to go the gilding way, or you can do the gilding and not tone it back as much if you do want it shinier. Do whatever you like, whatever floats your boat. I apparently like to do everything, so I had to do it all in one tray. It is recommended to use gloves for the gilding sheets, but I don't know. I'm a kind of person that I have to touch everything. I see with my hands, so to speak. So for me, wearing gloves was just like, no, I didn't care getting glue on me. It worked better for me with my hands, my bare hands, but you know, don't do what I do if you don't want glue all over yourself. So here I wanted to do some champagne accents, like on the little waves there and on the tops of the cherubs' wings, and I kind of horribly painted with the glue some stars there. It didn't look that great. I mean, although it did give him a little shine, which was nice, but I guess I could have done a better job with that. I'm just doing some accents there, and I thought it looked nice that way. It made it a little more fun. Okay, so here's where I'm toning it back a bit with some waxes. These waxes were pretty inexpensive from Hobby Lobby. I think they were just a couple bucks. And they were really nice. I really liked them. I love the two colors. And they had more colors. I should have gotten them all. But I really just needed the teal and the green. But they had like a red, like a ruby red looking one. And they had really pretty ones. But yeah, so I'm kind of smudging it here and there. Trying to tone back a bit of those flakes that I did put on the tray there. On the tray part, not the frame part. And I wasn't really happy with those big chunks of silver. So I was hoping that this wax would tone it back, but I had to put a lot more layers to tone that back. But I do love how it looked on the frame. I loved that look, that the blue, the teal on top of that silver, and then some of the green wax there. Looking at the footage now, I wish I would have just left the frame part the way it was once I added the waxes. Looking at it now, I really like it, but I do change it a bit, unfortunately. Here I'm taking a small little paintbrush and I'm taking the blue wax and just going over some of the little florals on top of the cherub's head and on the bouquet on its lap, or his lap. And I also go in with the green as well. There's like some little leafy green areas, and so I'll do that. I do that with the green wax as well with a small brush. And I just wanted to give little accents, little fun accents, you know, when you're walking, when you kind of turn it a bit, you can see where that wax is, which I liked, a little shine on there. Obviously I liked that effect, so I put some more on the waves and on the water there just to add to it. If I had purchased that red wax, and I think they even had like a mauve or like a pink one, I could have done the inside of the wings and part of the heart and the roses there. It would have looked really cool. But, you know, whatever. I don't have endless budgets to buy everything. I'd love to have an endless budget to buy everything I want, all the crafting supplies I desire, but sometimes you just have to pick and choose. All right, and here you can sort of see when I tip the tray, the shiny parts. All right, so I'm sealing this up again with a nice big soft brush with that Rust-Oleum Chalked top coat. And I'm still going to go on. I thought I was done. But then when I kind of like took a step back and looked, I was like, oh, those silver chunks around. I just wasn't really happy with that. I really wasn't. So I just bit the bullet. I was hoping that this Shipwrecked DIY wax would tone it back. It was like my last like hurrah, like maybe this will tone back those big silver chunks. And I did put it all over, even on the frame part, which I wish I didn't. I wish I would have just used it on the inside part of the tray. That way it wouldn't have. So it toned back the shine, but it didn't tone back the silver color enough on the tray part, but it did tone back the shine on the frame part, which I really wish I hadn't done. But it's really nice DIY wax. I really like it. It's like that teal color. So here I'm trying to use the DIY black wax to see if that'll tone it back. And no, I wipe it back and it's like, no, they're still there. So I went back with the paints. And I guess this is where I thought I just remembered using Eden, not Monet's Garden. But anyway, I go back and I'm just kind of going back with that walk on watercolor and the Eden. And I'm just going over the silver chunks that I just wasn't really satisfied with. Just going over all that again to erase my, whatever. There are mistakes, but it's also like a learning process. Like, yeah, I don't know. Some people might like those chunks. It wasn't my favorite. All right. And then on top of the paint, I am also putting the waxes again, like those metallic, the dark turquoise and the green wax. I'm putting that over. And now instead of the gilded flakes, I'm just using some rub and buff, gold leaf rub and buff in smaller areas there with a smaller brush and some silver rub and buff. Oh, I used antique gold and then some gold leaf colored rub and buff and now the silver. And it's like smaller and not so pronounced. And I liked that better. I do tone it back again with the green wax and the teal wax again. I mean, it's just like layer upon layer. I mean, this puppy is layered up. And then I was like, oh, I forgot to use that iris blue. I liked seeing a little bit of that hue there. So I went back and put some of the iris blue over all the rub and buff there. And slowly but surely, it started looking the way I wanted it to. Except for the frame. I wish I would have left that shinier. But it still looks good, I think. All right, so once I did that, I go over it again with a Shipwrecked wax to seal up the chalk paint on the edge there. And then I wipe it back. And I was way more satisfied with that look than before with those big chunks. And just those big chunks were just driving me insane. All right, so I was pretty satisfied with how it looked. And now I am going over it with some gloss Mod Podge that I have. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that on the frame part, I did go over it with the silver rub and buff, like on the edges there, just to accent the silver a little more. So here I'm just finished sealing this up. I was pretty happy with the result. I liked the dark, moody, grungy kind of tray here, Valentine tray. All right, so I'm done with this one. You'll see it in the reveal on the other side, and I am going on to project number 2. All right, so I thrifted these really pretty silver pieces, little goblets here, champagne glass, and that little, I don't know if it was like a sugar bowl, but I like the tarnish look. I did clean them up, but I left the tarnish there. You could make them all silvery if you want. I got some of these wooden wicks, and I'm recycling. I have tons of candles that towards the bottom, the wicks didn't like last, or they wouldn't burn right. So I'm reusing these waxes. They were all soy waxes. Here I'm just taking off the price tags. Everything was like just a couple bucks. And I've been wanting to do this for a while. I think these would make a really nice little gift to someone for any time, any occasion, but I'm doing this for Valentine's Day. And it doesn't have to be a romantic gift. It could just be a gift to a really good friend of yours that you appreciate. Valentine's Day doesn't have to be always romantic. It could just be appreciating a loved one or a good friend, which is a loved one as well. I don't know. Anyway, so here, these wooden wicks that I got from Amazon. I was reading the directions, and they did recommend using 2 wicks, 2 wooden sticks per candle. They said it burned better that way. So I just did what they said. There was a little tab there, a little sticky tab. And I'm going to dress them up with some rose petals and some lavender flowers. And I also used this essential oil. It's jasmine and vanilla. I love those 2 scents together. So that's what I used. And over there I have like a little burner that I got to melt the candle wax. I have, you can use it for the glass candle waxes. I mean the candle holders or whatever. But you could also like double boil, or if you break out the wax chunks out of like one of these containers, if you're going to recycle it, you could throw it in the freezer for a couple hours, and then when you take it out of the freezer, you get a butter knife, and you just break it up and the wax just pops right off, and then you can remelt it on a little burner just like that, just like the one I have. And you can use like a coffee carafe, like a glass one. I have that too. I've done that method before as well. So that's another method if you don't want to put the candle container directly on the burner. All right, so I just fill them up almost to the top, but I leave like a good, like a little under, like a 1/4 inch, maybe a little more than a 1/4 inch on the rim there. And all these candles had similar scents. They were like a smoky vanilla scent. So I embellished them with the pretty little rose petals and the lavender, and then the essential oils. And then you just, to add these little petals and whatnot, you have to kind of, you don't want the wax to be completely hot, but you don't want it to be like solidifying too much. It has to be like just right, and then they kind of fall in there and kind of float and suspend there, which is really nice. And that's how they looked. You cut the wicks. I didn't cut the little short candle wick yet because it wasn't all the way dry, and I didn't want to shake up the wax too much there. So I'm going to make little labels for these. I had these little stamps I've had forever and a day. I'm using some StazOn ink there, and then I also have this really pretty ink that I got from an Etsy store called Little Bits. She makes lotions and historical lotions and cold creams and perfumes, and then she has this rose scented ink, which I thought was really cool, and I got it. And like a little nerd, I'm using my quill. And I found some cool little quotes for Valentine's Day that on Pinterest, and I'm just writing a few out, and I am embellishing this little tag with stamps and some ribbons to hang there on the candles. I love that key stamp. Oh, I love it, love it. I love keys. I love a lot of things, but I especially like keys. They always remind me of the Secret Garden, which is a really beautiful story that I always liked. All right, and here I'm stamping this other cool stamp I've had. I mean, these stamps, honestly, I don't know if they even make them anymore. I've had them for probably like 20 years. So I'm sorry if you can't find them. I ended up using this other pen because it was just a little easier to write on these bookmark kind of paper bookmark things that I've also had for a long time. I think I got those in Michael's, but like years ago. All right, I'm going to make a hole on those tags there with my crocodile there. And I didn't have a rivet. I don't know where my rivets are, so I didn't use one. I just used the hole punch for it. And then I have these. I have a wax seal, and this is some red wax that I'm using there just to make it cool and embellish it a little more. And there you go. And I just tie a little ribbon, little bow on the ribbon there. And once I cut that wick, that one's done. And here's another one. I'm just going to add a little more embellishment to it. I love those little quotes I got. They were so sweet. One was, roses are red, violets are blue. My life would be boring without you. And then another one, I got that corner corner cutter. It like rounds off the corners. I got that on Amazon, very cheap. I think it was like $5. All right, the second little poem or quote, it was, in the garden of life, true friends are the most beautiful flowers. And the third quote was, a good friend is like a four-leaf clover, hard to find and lucky to have. I thought those were cute and very appropriate for Valentine's Day. So anyway, that second wax I had there, that lilac colored wax, didn't work very well, and I almost burnt that page. Oh my gosh, I had to like, I didn't even put that on the, I cut that out of the video because that was almost embarrassing. I had to really blow it, and it did burn a little bit on the other side there, but I put a little ladybug stamp on there, so Okay, so these projects are finished. I hope you enjoyed them. I enjoyed making them. And I'm getting ready to show you guys the reveal. And I just wanted to also, again, thank everyone that's been watching my videos and liking and commenting and subscribing. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm so grateful for you guys. I really hope that you guys are enjoying these videos. And I hope that you guys have a lovely Valentine's Day. And now it's time for the reveal.